Hi, I'm Odell. Whenever we come up with a new flute, a new design, and especially something that's really different like the Spirit Flute, we get a lot of questions, and there's some adaptation needed. Because the Spirit Flute is very different from the native flute in terms of the airflow. In the native flute, you've got a double chamber that's quite a bit longer, and so you have two chambers, the breath chamber and then the sound chamber in here. So you have, because of that chamber, it takes a little bit more pressure. So you're using an embouchure, and it's about air pressure to get that air to flow through that chamber up onto the sharp edge we call the fipple. In the Spirit Flute, you really don't have a chamber at all. So you're right there at the fipple, right at that sharp edge that creates the sound. So if you're creating a lot of pressure like you would in a native flute, there's a good chance, because it's right there, it's going to create a little too much pressure and too much air, and it's going to potentially sound breathy and airy. So every flute and every design in terms of how the air flows is very, very different. In the Spirit Flute, because you're so close, you're basically just breathing into it. Nice and easy. You're still tonguing, but you're tonguing a little bit further back, as opposed to right there in the front where you create that high pressure. So with the Spirit Flute, you just breathe into it nice and gently, just very naturally. Every instrument, even within the same series, whether it's native series or Spirit Flute, they all have their own personality. But when you change the airflow dynamic, it really does make a huge impact in terms of how you approach it. So experiment with it. Just breathe into it, see how breathing into it, how much you can push it, how much you can back off on it, and get a feel for it. That's the primary difference between the native flute and the Spirit Flute. And we created quite a few videos, like Jonah did some, and I did some, and they're in the instructional series on our website on the instructional pages. So check those out, and I have a feeling they'll be really helpful to you. The Spirit Flute, it does have quite a few advantages in that the plate is permanently affixed, and it doesn't have to be adjusted. It is a shorter flute, so that if you're playing a longer flute, like an F sharp, for instance, in the key, you don't have to cock your wrist so much, especially if you have small hands. It makes it a little bit easier. And you do get a few extra notes because you're so close right to that sharp edge, the fipple, that you're able to really regulate the pressure a little bit more, especially on the high end. So you're able to get some really high notes out of that. And we found it's a terrific backpacking hiking flute, or just going for a walk. It's a little shorter. It fits in your pocket, in your backpack, or just walking with it. It makes it a little bit, just because it's more streamlined. So check out the videos and start breathing into it.